Hi everyone! Welcome to my channel. This is video 6 from my challenge to you to learn 400 advanced English words. Most native English speakers know these words and use them regularly. What about you? How many words do you know? Watch this video carefully and check your current level. Let's learn 40 more advanced English words so that you can take your English to the next level. Make sure that you are also practicing and reviewing all of the words you have learned so far. Let's dive into our lesson. The word number 1 is the word to concede. To concede means to admit or agree that something is true after first denying or resisting it. To admit, often unwillingly, that something is true. It also means to stop trying to win a war, competition, or argument because you realize that you cannot win it. For example, the government has conceded that the new tax policy has been a disaster. Tom conceded defeat once he realized he could not win in a battle of wits. I had to concede that I had overreacted. The word number 2 is the word to foster. To foster means to encourage the development of something, especially something desirable, to nurture something. For example, a teacher could foster creativity by providing crayons to every student. If you foster a child, you take it into your family for a period of time without becoming its legal parent. Let me give you some examples. Developed countries should foster global economic growth to help new democracies. They fostered a strong sense of community and of belonging to a particular group. Rewards assist in encouraging and fostering a positive learning environment. The word number 3 is the word extravagant. Extravagant means spending a lot of money or using a lot more of something than you can afford or than is necessary, excessive or over the top, very extreme and not based on real facts. For example, we have extravagant spending, extravagant lifestyle, extravagant promise, etc. The word with a similar meaning is lavish. Lavish means generous and extravagant. And it also means impressive and usually costing a lot of money. For instance, even when in debt, he continued to enjoy an extravagant lifestyle. The advertisements make extravagant claims guaranteeing that you will stop smoking within 2 weeks. It was one of the most lavish weddings I've ever been to. They lived a lavish lifestyle. They were rather lavish with their presents. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 4 is the word nutritious. Nutritious is usually used of food, and it means containing substances your body needs to stay healthy, containing substances necessary for growth, health, and good condition, nourishing. For example, raw spinach is especially nutritious. The food was both nutritious and delicious. Please note that we also use the noun nutrient. Nutrient is a substance or ingredient that promotes growth, provides energy, and maintains life. For example, fruits and vegetables have important nutrients. A healthy diet should provide all your essential nutrients. The word number 5 is the word shabby. Shabby means looking old and in bad condition because of being used for a long time or not being cared for. Shabby things or places look old and in bad condition. For example, the man wore a long, shabby coat. The furniture was old and shabby. She wore shabby old jeans and a t-shirt. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 6 is the word to portray. To portray means to depict someone or something in a work of art or literature, to show or describe someone or something in a particular way, to portray someone in a good or bad light. For example, the writer portrays a life in a small village at the turn of the century. The book portrays him as a hero of the Wild West. The lawyer portrayed his client as a victim of child abuse. The newspapers want to portray the project in the worst possible light. The next word on our list, the word number 7, is the word decrepit. Decrepit means weak and in bad condition, especially from age or long use. Worn out or ruined because of age or neglect. The word with a similar meaning is run down. Something that is run down is so old it's falling apart. Run-down buildings or areas are in very bad condition. And we also use the word dilapidated. Dilapidated is used of buildings or objects which are in a state of disrepair or ruin as a result of age or neglect. Let me give you some examples. Most of the buildings were old and decrepit. The movie was shot in a decrepit police station. He made a fortune buying rundown houses and fixing them up to sell. The office building was run down, so the rents were low. The hotel they stayed in was dilapidated. She lived in a dilapidated old cottage. The word number 8 is the word noticeable. Noticeable means easy to see or recognize. For example, there has been a noticeable improvement in her health. The child's behavioral problems have become more noticeable. Please note that we also use the adverb noticeably, which means in a way that is easily seen or noticed clearly, obviously. For instance, the next day it was noticeably warmer. Phil was noticeably absent from this year's meeting. Let's go on to the next word. The word number 9 is the word equity. Equity is the situation in which everyone is treated fairly and equally. Each individual or group of people is given the same resources or opportunities, justice, or fairness. The word with an opposite meaning is inequity. Inequity is actually lack of justice or fairness, lack of equity, unfairness, injustice. For instance, the government sought to justify social inequity by promoting ideals of self-help. Health inequity affects people from disadvantaged or oppressed groups most severely. Our society should be based on equity and social justice. The word number 10 is the word to deprive someone of something. To deprive someone of something means to take something away from them or to prevent them from having something. For instance, they were deprived of affection as children. They were imprisoned and deprived of their basic rights. You can't function properly when you're deprived of sleep. Please note that we also use the noun deprivation. Deprivation is a situation in which you do not have things or conditions that are usually considered necessary for a pleasant life. It is the removal, denial, or unavailability of something needed or desired. For example, there were food shortages and other deprivations during the war. Millions suffer from sleep deprivation caused by long work hours. In the inner cities, you will find neglected children suffering from social deprivation. The word number 11 is the word biased. Biased means tending to show favor toward or against one group of people for personal reasons. It means to be unfairly prejudiced for or against someone or something. A biased person favors one side or issue over another. It means to be prejudiced. For example, my mom makes the best cheesecake in the world, but I might be a little biased. Most newspapers are biased toward one political party or the other. The system is so biased that many citizens simply do not register to vote. University acceptance policies seem to be biased against minorities. Please note that we also use the noun bias. Bias is a tendency to prefer one person or thing to another and to favor that person or thing. For example, one common bias is that women are weak, despite many being very strong. Another is that blacks are dishonest, when most aren't. Another is that obese people are lazy, when their weight may be due to any of a range of factors, including disease. Let me give you some examples. Employers must consider all candidates impartially and without bias. Some institutions still have a strong bias against women. Let's continue with our lesson, and the next word on our list, the word number 12, is the word To distribute. To distribute means to divide something among several or many people, to give a share of something to each of a number of recipients, to give things to a large number of people. For instance, the charities are coordinating their efforts to distribute food to the region. Food and clothing are being distributed to the flood victims. The newspaper is distributed freely. Please take heed. We also use the noun distribution. Distribution is the act of dividing something among people, or spreading or supplying something. It is the process of giving something such as food, clothes, or money to a group of people, especially so that each person gets an equal share. It is the way in which people or things are spread out in a place. For example, there is an uneven distribution of wealth across the country. Oxfam organized the distribution of food and clothing in the disaster area. The word number 13 is the word to dismay. To dismay means to make someone feel worried, disappointed, and upset, to cause to lose enthusiasm or resolution, to feel with depression or discouragement, to dishearten. For example, they enjoyed the meal but were dismayed by how much it cost. She was dismayed to learn that he was already married. We were dismayed by the bad news. Please note that we also use the noun dismay. Dismay is the feeling of being very worried, disappointed, or sad about something surprising or shocking that has happened. Dismay describes an emotional state of alarm, fear, or serious disappointment. For instance, he is leaving the department, much to the dismay of his colleagues. We listened with dismay to the news of the accident. They watched in dismay as the house burned. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 14 is the word to quench. To quench means to drink so that you no longer feel thirsty. If you're stranded in the middle of the desert with nothing to drink, you're probably dreaming of a nice big glass of ice water to quench your thirst. And it also means to satisfy a need or wish. Let me give you some examples. When it's hot, it's best to quench your thirst with water. Her thirst for knowledge will never be quenched. The word number 15 is the word to replenish. To replenish means to fill or make complete again, to add a new stock or supply to refill. For example, all creatures need sleep to replenish their energies. They need to replenish their food supplies in preparation for the winter. He replenished Jim's glass with mineral water. We're depleting natural resources faster than Earth can replenish them. Please note that we also use the noun replenishment Replenishment is the process by which something is made full or complete again. For example, there's a concern about replenishment of the population. Let's move on to the next word. And the next word on our list, the word number 16, is the word to empathize. To empathize means to share the same feelings as another person, to feel empathy. If you empathize with someone, you understand their situation, problems, and feelings. For example, his ability to empathize with people made him an excellent counselor. I clearly empathize with the people who live in poor neighborhoods. Please note that we also use the noun empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It is the understanding and sharing of the emotions and experiences of another person. For example, he felt great empathy toward the poor. There's a frightening lack of empathy and of understanding of the condition of the elderly. A little bit of empathy and understanding might go a long way in making their life easier. Let's continue with our lesson, and the next word on the list is the word to reinforce. To reinforce means to make a structure or material stronger, especially by adding another material to it. And it also means to strengthen an existing feeling, idea, or habit, to give support to an opinion, idea, or feeling, and make it stronger. If something reinforces an idea or point of view, it provides more evidence or support for it. Let me give you some examples. The movie reinforces the idea that women should be pretty and dumb. Success in the talks will reinforce his reputation as an international statesman. This reinforces the stereotype that blondes have no brains. The door was built of oak, heavily reinforced with iron. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 18 is the word to endeavor. To endeavor means to make an effort, to strive, to try very hard to do something. For example, we endeavor to make our customers happy. They are endeavoring to protect labor union rights. Please note that we use the same word as a noun as well. Endeavor also means an effort or attempt to do something, especially something new or original. For example, writing is a different endeavor than teaching. The company's creative endeavors are thriving. He succeeded in his endeavor to climb the Everest. The word number 19 is the word to resist. To resist means to stop yourself from doing something that you would very much like to do, to refrain or abstain from, especially with difficulty. And it also means to fight against something or someone that is attacking you. For instance, the drug will help your body resist infection. The soldiers resisted the enemy attack. It was hard resisting the temptation to open the box. She can never resist temptation, chocolate, or the urge to laugh. Please note that we also use the noun resistance. Resistance is the refusal to accept or comply with something. It is the ability not to be affected or harmed by something, especially a disease or a drug. For example, the army offered strong resistance to the enemy. They displayed a narrow-minded resistance to change. Vitamin C helps build resistance to infection. Please note that we also use the adjective irresistible. Someone who is irresistible is so attractive, desirable, etc., that you cannot prevent yourself from wanting it. It means strong or powerful and impossible to control or defeat. For example, he found the delicious chocolate cake irresistible. The team appears to be an irresistible force this season. The word number 20 is the word to urge. To urge means to advise or to try hard to persuade someone to do something. For example, the authorities urged residents to stay indoors. Police are urging anyone who saw the accident to contact them immediately. The charity urged the government to reconsider its decision. Please note that we use the same word as a noun as well. Urge also means a strong wish, especially one that is difficult or impossible to control. It is a strong desire or impulse. For instance, she felt an overwhelming urge to tell someone about what had happened. He could no longer resist the urge to go and see Emily. The word number 21 is the word to pledge. To pledge means to make a serious or formal promise to do something, to solemnly promise. For example, the government has made a pledge never to make deals with terrorists. During his campaign, he pledged that he would not raise taxes. Both Britain and the United States are pledging their support for the campaign. If you join the armed forces, you have to pledge allegiance to your country, which means to express loyalty and support for your country. Please note that we use the same word as a noun as well. Pledge also means a serious and public promise to do something. For example, he gave her the ring as a pledge of his eternal love. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 22 is the word dignity. Dignity is calm, serious, and controlled behavior that makes people respect you. It is the impressive behavior of someone who controls their emotions in a difficult situation. Dignity also means the quality of being worthy of honor and respect. The word with a similar meaning is the word deference. Deference is respect shown for another person, especially because of that person's experience, knowledge, age, or power. It is a polite and respectful attitude towards someone. And take heed, we also use the word poise. The word poise has a similar meaning. Poise is a graceful, very controlled way of standing and moving. If someone has poise, they are calm, dignified, and self-controlled. For example, their country cherishes freedom and human dignity. She is a woman of dignity and determination. Her aristocratic voice gives her an air of dignity and power. The women wore veils out of deference to the customs of the country. He treats her with such deference. What amazed him even more than her appearance was her poise. The word number 23 is the word to renounce. To renounce means to say formally or publicly that you no longer own, support, believe in, or have a connection with something. To disown, to give up or put aside voluntarily. For instance, Gandhi renounced the use of violence. If you decide to become a vegetarian, you will renounce hamburgers and bacon. She renounced her husband. She formally renounced her citizenship. Let's continue with our lesson. And the next word on our list, the word number 24, is the word affluent. Affluent means having a lot of money and a good standard of living. A person who owns a multi-million-dollar company and lives in a mansion is an example of an affluent person. The word with a similar meaning is the word well-off. Someone who is well-off is wealthy, rich, having a lot of money, or enough money to have a good standard of living. Let me give you some examples. The students mainly come from affluent families. In today's affluent society, people are increasingly buying things they don't really need. We drove through an affluent neighborhood with large houses and tree-lined streets. California wasn't such a well-off place in those days. They're much better off than us. The word number 25 is the word destitute. Destitute means without money, food, a home or possessions, without means of subsistence, lacking food, clothing, and shelter. An example of a destitute person is a homeless person with no money. The word with a similar meaning is impoverished. Impoverished means extremely poor, without money. Let me give you some examples. The floods left thousands of people destitute. During the global economic crisis, many people were left destitute. The charity cares for destitute children. The goal is to lure businesses into impoverished areas. Falling coffee prices have impoverished many third world economies. They lived in an impoverished, war-torn country. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 26 is the word abundance. Abundance is a large quantity that is more than enough. To have an abundance of something is to have more than you need. Abundance is the opposite of scarcity. For example, an abundance of wealth, an abundance of love, etc. The word with a similar meaning is opulence. Opulence is a display of great wealth. It is lavish and visibly over-the-top living. For example, the country has an abundance of natural resources. Grapes and olives grow in abundance in the valley. The tropical island boasts an abundance of wildlife. We are fortunate to live in a time of great abundance. The opulence of the hotel was quite a contrast to its surroundings. Living in such opulence makes him uneasy. A gigantic and beautiful mansion is an example of opulence. Persons in poverty are rising to opulence, and persons of wealth are sinking to poverty. Please note that we also use the adjective abundant. Abundant means existing or available in large quantities, having plenty of, plentiful, bountiful. And the word with a similar meaning is opulent. Opulent is used of people when it means extremely rich, rich in appearance, showing great wealth. For instance, the island is renowned for its sandy beaches and abundant wildlife. Fish are abundant in the lake. The country has an abundant supply of fossil fuels. Rainfall is abundant in the region. He lived an opulent lifestyle that included sports cars and enormous homes. Let's continue with our list of words. And the next word on the list, the word 27, is the word welfare. Welfare is financial help that is provided often by the government for people who are ill, poor, or have no job. Let me give you some examples. Your taxes pay for welfare benefits such as unemployment and sickness pay. Since being made redundant, he has been receiving welfare. There must be adequate welfare provision for people with disabilities. Please note that we also use the expression on welfare, which means receiving financial help from the state because you are poor or have not been employed for a long time. For example, she is a single parent on welfare. The word number 28 is the word threshold. A threshold is what you step across when you enter a room. And when you're about to start something new, you're also on a threshold. It is the level or point at which you start to experience something, or at which something starts to happen. For example, the bride was carried over the threshold. He has a low or high threshold of pain. Please note that we also use the expression on the threshold of something. It is the point just before a new situation, period of life, etc. begins. For instance, we're on the threshold of a new era. She's on the threshold of a brilliant career. He felt as though he was on the threshold of a new life. Take heed, we also use the expression above or below a threshold. For instance, living below the poverty threshold can have a major impact on a child's education. His earnings are just above the tax threshold. Let's move on to the next word. The word 29 is the word scarcity. Scarcity is a lack of something, inadequate supply, especially the limited availability of resources in comparison to the limitless want. If there is a scarcity of something, there's not enough of it for the people who need it or want it. For example, there's a great scarcity of food in the drought-stricken areas. There's a scarcity of work or jobs in their country. There's a scarcity of skilled workers in this sector. Please note that we also use the adjective scarce. Scarce means not available in necessary amounts or rare, not easy to find or get. If something is scarce, there's not enough of it, and it is only available in small quantities. For instance, jobs are scarce around here. Food and clean water were getting scarce during the drought. In the public sector, money and resources are scarce. Skilled workers were becoming increasingly scarce. The word number 30 is the word to resort to something. To resort to something means to do something bad, extreme, or difficult because you cannot see any other way of achieving what you want. It also means to do something especially because no other choices are possible. For example, she had to resort to asking her parents for money. I'm confident we can find a solution to this issue without resorting to violence. Some schools have resorted to recruiting teachers from overseas. They achieve their demands without having to resort to force. The word number 31 is the word inequality. Inequality is the unfair situation in society when some people have more opportunities, money, etc., than other people. It is a lack of equality or fair treatment in the sharing of wealth or opportunities. Let me give you some examples. Several polls show that one of the biggest issues on people's minds is economic inequality. We need to tackle inequality of opportunity wherever we find it. Gender and racial inequality are still widespread throughout society. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 32 is the word to enhance. To enhance means to improve something, to improve its value, quality, or attractiveness, to improve something, to increase the good quality, value, or status of somebody or something. For example, the convention is an opportunity to enhance your business knowledge and polish your networking skills. The measures taken should considerably enhance the residents' quality of life. You can enhance the flavor of the dish by using fresh herbs. The images can be enhanced using digital technology. The word number 33 is the word outcome. Outcome is a final product or end result. It is the way a thing turns out. Consequence. It is the result or effect of an action, situation, or event. For example, it's too early to predict the outcome of the election. Their strategy produced the desired outcome. We're confident of a positive outcome. They're still awaiting the final outcome of the trial. The word number 34 is the word to occupy. To occupy means to fill, use, or exist in a place or a time. For instance, a large couch occupies most of the space in the living room. Their house occupies a beautiful spot next to the ocean. He occupies the house that his grandfather built 30 years ago. These questions have continued to occupy her mind. The word number 35 is the word demeaning. Demeaning means causing someone to become or feel less respected, intended to lower a person's dignity, status, or character, causing someone to lose their dignity and the respect of others. The adjective demeaning describes something that lowers a person's reputation or dignity. It means humiliating or degrading. Let me give you some examples. That advertisement is demeaning to women. It is very demeaning to be criticized in front of all your colleagues. If your boss always asks you to pick up her dry cleaning and get her coffee, you might feel like you usually get the demeaning jobs. Let's continue with our list of words, and the next word on our list, the word number 36, is the word to associate. To associate means to connect someone or something in your mind with someone or something else. And it also means to spend time with someone. For example, he has been associated with some dubious characters. Most people immediately associate addictions with drugs, alcohol, and cigarettes. While she was in Paris, she associated with many well-known artists. You wouldn't normally associate these two writers. Their styles are completely different. Please note that we also use the noun associate. Associate is someone who is closely connected to another person as a companion, friend, or business partner. For example, her associates respected her for her hard work. Jessie invited several business associates to dinner. The word number 37 is the word animosity. Animosity is a strong feeling of dislike or hatred. It is a strong feeling of disliking someone or something. The word with a similar meaning is rancor. Rancor is bitter and long-lasting hatred or resentment. It is bitterness or resentfulness. And the word which also has a similar meaning is malice. Malice is the desire to harm someone, ill will. Malice is bad will or the desire to do bad things to another person. Let me give you some examples. There's a long history of animosity between two nations. We're competitive, but there's no personal animosity between us. She answered her accusers calmly and without rancor. Work harder than your neighbor, and you will not earn his respect. You will earn his envy and rancor. There certainly wasn't any malice in her comments. She claimed that her criticisms were without malice. Let's move on to the next word. The word number 38 is the word to reconcile. To reconcile means to make people become friends again after an argument or a disagreement. To find an acceptable way of dealing with two or more ideas, needs, etc., that seem to be opposed to each other. For example, it is sometimes difficult to reconcile science and religion. He has recently been reconciled with his wife. The couple has been making every effort to reconcile. It was hard to reconcile his career ambitions with the needs of his children. Please note that we also use the noun reconciliation. Reconciliation is the restoration of friendly relations. For example, he's striving to bring about a reconciliation between the two conflicting sides. An example of reconciliation is two siblings who mend their relationship after a period of fighting. Her ex-husband had always hoped for a reconciliation. The meeting achieved a reconciliation between the groups. The word number 39 is the word to resolve. To resolve means to solve or end a problem or difficulty, to settle or find a solution to a problem, to decide firmly on a course of action. For example, I'm sure these problems can be satisfactorily resolved. They resolved that they would never argue over money. The couple resolved their differences and made an effort to get along. And the word number 40 is the word to thrive. To thrive means to prosper, to flourish. If someone or something thrives, they do well and are successful, healthy, or strong. For example, these plants thrive in tropical rainforests. New businesses thrive in this area. The town has been thriving on tourism. These animals rarely thrive in captivity. And we're done with a list of new words for this lesson. Learning a language is a journey that requires discipline, consistency, and perseverance. You know what they say, Rome was not built in a day. By following my step-by-step videos, however, you will achieve your desired fluency faster, in an easier and more amusing way. It's not about learning harder, it's about learning smarter. I am here to help you absorb new words spontaneously by providing you with engaging texts. Today, our topic is economic inequality and bridging the wealth gap. What do you think about this intriguing topic? Now it's your turn. Grab your pen and paper, pause the video, read the following text carefully, and fill in the gaps with the most appropriate words from today's lesson. Please note that I also give you some hints in the brackets to help you complete this exercise successfully. So, let's get started. Well, the time is up. Have you filled in all the gaps? Let's check out the answers. Here are the correct answers. Number 1, well-being. Number 2, inequality. Number 3, distribution. Number 4, distributed. Number 5, outcomes. Number 6, concede. Number 7, deprived of. Number 8, deprivation. Number 9, demeaning. Number 10, outcome. 11, impoverished. 12, occupy. 13, scarce. 14, impoverished. 15, affluent. 16, threshold. 17, welfare. 18, nutritious. 19, replenish. 20, decrepit. 21, run down. 22, dilapidated. 23, noticeably. 24, shabby. 25, resort to. 26, opulence. 27, well off. 28, extravagant. 29, lavish. 30, empathize. 31, biased. 32, portray. 33, destitute. 34, associated. 35, dismayed. 36, resist. 37, urge. 38, inequity. 39, renounce. 40, resolve. 41, affluent. 42, enhancing. 43, fostering. 44, endeavor. 45, reinforces. 46, thrives. 47, reconcile. 48, malice. 49, rancor. 50, animosity. 51, pledge. 52, dignity. 53, deference. 54, scarcity. 55, abundance. And 56, quench. And now tell me, how many correct answers do you have? Let me know in the comment section. And if this lesson was useful to you, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more free lessons. That's all for today. Thank you so much for watching my video and see you soon. Bye.